changes. Keep letting me know if you have something on your mind. Okay? All right. Now, earlier I was teasing you about, well, you know, you're working with these people 2,000 hours a year, but you don't really know them. So I'm going to give you some techniques. These are heuristics, shorthand, for getting to know people that are not corny, and they won't even know what you're doing really, but you'll be getting very valuable intel that will help you position the things that you need to communicate. Because everybody's different. How do you know who you're really talking to? People, I mean, think about it this way. People only show you what they want to show you. Aaron Hernandez. The Patriots would have never hired Aaron Hernandez if they knew the truth about him. Because a lot of the stuff that he did, the stuff that I can't tell you right now, a lot of the stuff he did before he signed the contract. But he kept it from them. So how do you really get to know somebody? This, to me, is very interesting. And I use these techniques all the time. I've been teaching them for years. I write about them. They've been published by other sources. So we know they work. So I don't hear any crap about, oh, that would never work. You just have to have the courage to try them. Let's do them. There are 3. How do you so here's the segment. How do you really know somebody? So the first way that you can get to know somebody was discovered by a guy named Roger Sperry, S-P-E-R-R-Y. You can Google him up, in the 1970s. And is there anybody in the room with a psychology background? Took some classes in it? For Case. So sometimes somebody like Case would say, well, you know, Michael, Sperry discovered his theory over 50 years ago, and therefore we've discovered a lot of things since then. He's not quite as relevant as he was. And that's technically true 50 years ago. But it still holds true today, right? There have been new discoveries, but just grab the basic theory and use it because it's very helpful. It's called brain dominance theory. Don't worry about the spelling. Brain dominance theory. You know it by another name. Left brain, right brain. Does that sound familiar to you? Russ is nodding. Left brain, right brain, yeah. So here's how you do it. Make a little T-chart in your notes. You know what a T-chart is, right? Looks like a capital T. And on the left side of the T, here, on the left side of the T, write LB, or left brain. And on the right side of the T, RB, right brain. Left brain, right brain. And what Sperry did was he took a human brain and he cut it in half. I assume the person was dead. He cut the brain in half alongside the channel that divides the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. That channel is called the corpus callosum. And what Sperry discovered in his own rudimentary way, we know a lot more about the brain now than we did back then, but what he learned in a rudimentary way 50 years ago is that we are hardwired as individuals dominantly to one side of the brain. It's not a bad thing or a good thing. Today, you know, in our sensitive society, people go, oh, I don't like to be classified as left brain or right brain. Or, I don't identify as left brain. I don't give a crap what you identify as. This is science. It's true. It works. And you can use it to make your life better and the job if you care to. Okay? Left brain people, according to Sperry, tons of replicated research, left brain people tend to be, ready? Rationally based. Linear thinkers. And finally, male. Let's review. Rational and male. No comments? Oh, hi.
Who came up with that theory?
A man. I've been doing this for 20 years. That's the first time the hotel lady ever contributed to my program in a useful way. Lunch was delicious, by the way. Give them a round of applause. Fabulous. Left brain people are an interesting lot. Left brain people are the people like Look, I'll give like a really good program, right? Really bang it. And somebody will come up afterward and go, you didn't cover slide number 8. And it bugs the shit out of them. Like they can't handle it, you know. Like, I can't go home until I have slide 8. Some email me, like a day later, and you missed slide 8. It's okay. It's just how they are. Right brain people tend to be touchy-feely in nature. You can classify your clients like this too. Touchy-feely in nature. They tend to be emotionally based, not irrational, right? Just emotional. Not better, not worse, just different. And they tend to be female. Tend to be. Somebody always raises their hand and says, oh, I'm kind of a little bit of both. Okay. Me too. I'm a former musician. My brothers and I toured in a rock band in the 1980s. We opened for acts like Rick Springfield, Corey Hart, Joan Jett. You know any of these names? And so as a person who lived in music all that time, I wrote songs. I like poetry. I'm in touch with my feminine self. Clearly, male. So we have a little bit of mix of both. That's what makes life interesting. Think about genetics. You're dominant in some genes, recessive in others. So you're primarily wired as a left brainer or as a right brainer. Let's see. If you think you might be a left brain person, please raise your hand and indicate. Cool. If you think you might be a right brain person, raise your hand and indicate. Very good. And some of you are no-brained. What's the issue? Can't decide? A little bit of both? What's that? A little bit of both. That's okay. It's all right. So not only is it helpful to know who you are as a person, but it's useful to know who you're talking to. Like on your team. Are they a left brain person or a right brain person? Because a left brain person wants statistics and facts and documentation. And the right brain person just wants to know it feels good. So if you're talking to somebody who just wants to know if it feels good, and you keep giving them data, you're wasting your time. Now imagine you're talking to a client, and you're giving them statistics, and numbers, and metrics, and percentages, and they just want the damn bugs out of their house. And they want to feel clean again. And they're not interested in your statistics. You're wasting your time. Who are you talking to? So this is all I'm asking you to do, is pay attention to this. So that's the first way to get to know somebody. Try to figure out if they're left brain or right brain. Sometimes they send you a signal. Remember I told you, people have these things called tells, right? And they just tell you, you know. A lot of times when people come to my seminars, they sit down in the front row, they get out a pen and a paper, and they brought their own water, and I could just tell, man, they are learners. They are ready to rock and roll. And some people sit in the back. They didn't bring a pen, nothing to write on. They're at a seminar, professional development seminar, nothing to write with. It's a signal. Doesn't mean they don't want to learn, but it's a signal that might be coming from that headspace. That's okay, we give them a pen. I pay attention to this. I don't call them out and say, I see you didn't bring a pen today. I don't want people to feel bad. But I just say, raise your hand if you don't have a pen. And then we get them pens. You see how we solve the problem without actually dueling about it? Okay. The second way that you can get to know people is a technique called personality analysis. Again, don't worry about the spelling. Personality analysis. And I know you know a bit about this because almost all of you took, I think, a personality assessment or some sort of a personality. See, that's a strange, in our sensitive society, nobody wants to be assessed about their personality or tested. What do you call it? You call it something? Profile, yeah. Well, now nobody likes to be profiled either. It's a hard thing what do you call it, Case? Do you have another name besides that doesn't have like a negative?